Hi, welcome back to my channel, Open the Door. This is episode 104. Don't chase joy, choose it. You already hold the key. So today's going to focus on how we can find joy in just about any moment of the day. Because joy doesn't live in tomorrow or even next week or in your next achievement. It lives in your next breath if you choose it. After 15 years on my healing journey, I've learned that joy isn't given, it isn't earned, and it's not determined by outside forces. It's been ever present within me and waiting to be recognized and given permission to exist in my daily life. We all spend so much time in our lives chasing joy like it's a distant prize. But the key was never in the chase, it's in the choice. Choosing joy, even in our imperfection, can unlock a deep sense of peace, presence, and power. So it's time for you to begin to recognize joy, not as an external reward, but as an internal choice every day. We believe joy is found outside of us. We've been kind of conditioned to think that way. So here's some aspects of why we believe that joy is found out there and not within. Number one, the societal conditioning. We're taught that joy is a transaction, a reward for effort or perfection or sacrifice. And we tell ourselves, I'll be happy when, ... But instead, we can begin to train our brain to think in this way. I am allowed to be joyful. I don't have to prove that I deserve it. The second point of why we feel like joy is found outside of us is due to our unhealed wounds that create a feeling of conditional joy. So joy feels unsafe and sometimes unfamiliar and even untrustworthy because we're going through these issues with our unhealed wounds. So we delay joy and we postpone peace and we wait until we feel good enough to allow ourselves to feel the sensation of joy. But instead, what we can tell ourselves is, I allow joy into my life, my heart, my mind, and my soul. I am imperfect and I still choose joy. Another reason we look for joy and chase it outside of ourselves is this addiction to struggle. So struggle becomes the norm for us and our nervous system gets wired for survival, and joy makes us feel uneasy and unworthy. And we ask ourselves, if I'm not chasing something, am I growing? Instead, we can acknowledge that joy is freely available to us in every moment, and there's no need to chase it. We simply need to choose it. Another reason we look outward for joy is this loop that we get caught in of external validation. So we're conditioned to outsourcing our joy. We're always looking for compliments or the next job title or the perfect romantic partner, or once we've completed our spiritual awakening and we have a healed identity. My last episode dealt with how the spiritual awakening is uncomfortable AF, and I point out in that episode that once the spiritual awakening begins, that's it. You're on that path for the rest of your life. So there is no ending point to that. But the world tells us that we need others to approve of us in order for us to feel joy. But instead, what we can say is, my joy is found within and is not dependent on outside validation. I hold the keys to my joy, not others. Another aspect of why we are chasing externally for joy could be misdirection along our spiritual path. And we may be telling ourselves, well, I'll feel joy once I've completed my spiritual awakening, as I said a moment ago, or when I master this particular practice, I'll feel joy. Well, instead, the more realistic approach would be, I choose joy in the present moment and through this process of awakening. I am ready now to experience it. There's no need to wait and deprive myself of joy. So next up is some examples of how to find joy even amidst the turmoil and the mess. So as you spend time thinking about this and starting to open your mind and heart to this aspect of choosing joy instead of seeking it externally, there's a shift that's going to take place where the futility of chasing joy is finally realized. And then you gradually learn to pause, be present, and shift your perspective and go inward to find that sense of joy. So choosing presence over perfection and focusing back into the present moment, into the now, helps us choose joy. Practice gratitude, especially when it's hard. Look for 3 things to be grateful for in these moments of not being able to find joy. Look around you, think about your life, and come up with 3 things that you're truly grateful for, and then spend a few moments in the presence of gratitude. And that can bring you joy as well. So release the conditional aspect of finding joy. No more saying to yourself, I need X, Y, and Z to be happy. Again, it's a choice, and it is a shift in perspective in our mindset as well. Speak joy into the moment by just simply saying, I choose joy even now. Joy lives within me. And here's some examples of how to choose joy. So the first one is let yourself rest without guilt and tell yourself, I deserve peace today. Another example would be log off of social media and go for a walk. And tell yourself, I choose presence over the pressure to be like others. Another example of choosing joy would be when you forgive yourself for past mistakes and tell yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew. Another example is when you eat something you love and you enjoy it without guilt or rushing through it. Give yourself permission to treat yourself and savor that food, whatever it is. Another example would be to dance by yourself with no audience. Just saying yes to the movement and being joyful in the moment can really uplift your spirits and raise your vibration and put that true authentic sense of joy in your heart. Another example of finding joy would be saying no without apology. It sounds counterintuitive, but listen, choosing to protect your energy and setting boundaries can be joy in disguise. And another example would be when you allow yourself to create something, not for results, but for the expression. So anything like painting, writing, singing, dancing, scribbling. Joy doesn't care if it's perfect. Joy doesn't come from a place of perfection. But choosing joy is a practice. It's not a switch that you can turn on and off like a light switch. It's a muscle that needs to be exercised regularly, just like gratitude. And it doesn't mean that we're choosing to bypass our pain, but rather it's honoring the power of the pain and celebrating the awareness and the growth that will come from honoring that pain. So joy is found in little daily moments. It's rarely something that can last all day or any longer than a day for us. But we can choose in all aspects of our life to find the joy, even if it's just a few moments. It's not something that we find. Joy is something that we allow. So we don't chase it, we choose it. I hope you find some joy in your day today and found something helpful in this episode. I wish you peace, love, and light as always. I hope you've been taking good care of yourselves, and happy summer, everybody. I'll be back again very soon. Until then, take good care. That's it for now. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.